Coming now to our next speaker. You brought one of the biggest buzzwords on stage now, because we talk, of course, farming forward with different keywords, and now you bring the topic of drones on our stage. So the question really comes from you, how drones are revolutionizing agriculture. You are the CEO of ABZ Innovation. With us is Karoly Ludvigh. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Karoly Ludvigh, and I'm the CEO of ABZ Innovation, where we develop and manufacture drone solutions for precision agriculture. And let me start with summing up the most important difficulties that we are facing in agriculture right now. Of course, we need to provide quality food, and in the same time, because of Green Deal 2.0 and environmental questions, we need to reduce the amount of pesticides used. But with the operating costs skyrocketing, we also need to make sure that our costs are optimized as well as possible. And it's not really easy to do when the demand is growing and the climate change is also causing a lot of issues and problems. But what we believe is that with the use of precision agricultural drones, we can solve at least part of these issues when it comes to spraying and plant protection in general. But to understand why drones are working so well and why they are so efficient, we need to first understand what is the problem with traditional spraying. The main problem is that traditional spraying usually uses some kind of a hydraulic droplet formation system. And with this solution, we have a huge issue. Thanks to the basic principle of using high pressure to squeeze the water through the nozzles, we will have a very wide spectrum of droplet sizes, which means that the two small droplets that are created during the spraying mission, somewhere between 20 to 60 microns, will be too small to even reach the plants. They will evaporate instead, causing a lot of waste and pollution hundreds of miles away. And there are the two big droplets with the range of around 300 microns. They usually roll down on the leaves and absorbing in the ground. And also, if they stick to the leaves, the volume to surface ratio is just really bad, again, causing a lot of waste. As a result of this spraying system, around 50% of our chemical products filled into the tanks are going to waste, making no use whatsoever. What we do about this with drones is that we are using a different spraying system called CDA, which stands for Controlled Droplet Application. It is a 50-year-old technology, it's nothing new, but it's really difficult to apply. But the principle is close to perfect. We are using low pressure to drip the water into a fast rotating disc, and thanks to the centrifugal force, the droplets will break off from the edge of the disc evenly. We can even set the RPM of this disc, and we can create the exact droplet size we need within a 5% margin. So if you need, I don't know, 80 micron or 100 micron droplet for optimal results, you will only have those sizes, not more and not less. So in theory, we will have a system that provides the perfect droplets, but it has a huge flaw. That is why it's not commonly used. Thanks to this centrifugal force, the droplets are traveling sideways, which is not good because the crops are usually below the spraying system. So we need to come up with another tool to optimize the route of these droplets to the crops. And here comes the use of drones, because when you're flying with propellers, you will have a really, really strong downward airflow that will make sure that these droplets traveling sideways will be bent down like an umbrella and going straight to the crops. And this airflow is not only useful because the droplets are targeted to the right direction, it's also very useful to make sure that these droplets, as soon as they reach the top of the crops or the top of the fruit tree canopies or whatever we are spraying, these airflow filled with a lot of droplets will make sure that with a lot of millions of random vortexes, the droplets will go everywhere. So thanks to this spraying system and thanks to the optimized airflow of the propellers, we can have perfect droplet sizes as a first step, and we can make sure that the droplets are going where they should go as a second step. Let me show you a quick example from a case study that we did in Hungary, in the vineyards of Tokaj. We were trying to find the best setting for organic treatment with contact products like sulfur and copper. And what we found out is that using our drones with this technology, with the optimized airflow and flight planning, we were able to produce these numbers. I'm not going to read them, you can read them, but this is the result of what we found out after a few days of trials and errors, of course. What you need to really understand is that these results were provided with 60 liters per hectare applied on vineyards, organic vineyards. And this leads us to the basic advantage of using drones. On average, of course, depending on the treatment, you can save around 50% of the chemical products, and you can save up to 90% of water used, thanks to only applying perfect droplet size and making sure that the airflow is working in our way. But how does it work in real life? What you need to do to spray with drones? First, you need to collect information about your crops. Usually it's enough to have the boundaries of your fields, and the drone will automatically fly and spray. But you can also use any kind of information about the actual health of your crops. So you can do spot spraying, you can do differential spraying, you can just send the drone in the middle of the field and say there is an infection there, please spray it and then come home. And as soon as you have this information, you just need to make sure that your flight plan is ready. As you can see, this is an example in orchards. You can easily position the flight path of the drone above the trees, making sure that you concentrate the spraying to the canopies. And again, the airflow is so strong that it can easily open up the canopy and make sure that everywhere it's going to get a really good, efficient spraying. We even tested in walnuts with a canopy diameter of 8 meters, and it's still sufficient enough to protect our crops. And as you can see on the right, we can even play with the width of the spraying by adjusting a few parameters on the transmitter. You don't have to change any propellers, you don't have to do nothing. Just say, I want to concentrate my spraying to 1.5 meters, for example, in vineyards, or I want to spray 6 meters. And this is an example of our smaller drone. We can significantly enlarge these numbers with our bigger L30 machine. So this is, in principle, what drones can do. Let me tell you a bit about what we do when it comes to drones. Our advantage is that we are located here in Europe. R&D, manufacturing, support, spare parts supply, everything is here in Europe. And our technology, I believe, is really, really interesting in a matter that we optimize our flight plans, our software, and our solutions to the European demand, to offer a solution in hard-to-reach areas, to offer a solution for orchards, for vegetables, for vineyards, because it's not that easy to fly a drone in difficult terrain. That is why we are working and focusing on that area really hard. And the second most important thing, I think it's good to know that other than the product, we are trying to help our customers with the required knowledge to understand how this system works, how to use it, how to maximize the potential that these technology have. So together with the equipment and the required knowledge, we offer more like a solution instead of just a tool that you can learn on your own. Yeah, that was all. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Do we have questions coming from the audience? the world belongs to the brace, right? Absolutely. So I give you the microphone. Tell us who you are and what's your concrete question. Thank you for being here.
My question, you're focusing on the European market, but for example, for international companies who work otherwise in the US, for example, do you also offer your services elsewhere, or is it only focusing on the European market with all the European crops and with the topography also of Europe and not the bigger scale for the US, for example?
Thank you. It's a really good question. And yes, I mentioned Europe because we are located here and we have like logistics, which makes our job easier to develop new solutions for different purposes. But actually, we have a worldwide system for support, spare part supply and trainings also, and we usually and regularly fly to every part of the world to do tests, demonstrations, to offer our solutions. And by Europe, I really meant that there are really difficult use cases when you need to have a tweak of the drone, because it's better to have a new software solution, which is really easy to do. But yeah, we actually have drones flying worldwide already. Yeah. Thank you.
Karoly, what are the most common questions from customers on your desk? You know, what is maybe something that also gives the customers a little bit of headache when they think of drones? And where would you like to find answers to these headaches?
Yeah, the most common question is how high it can fly, but it's not really important. The second most common question is that how easy to learn to operate these drones. And to answer to that question is that it obviously depends on the background of the technician or the pilot, but usually our 2, 3, 5 days training is more than enough to start. And after that, it's really good to have a bit of an experience, not starting with the most difficult terrain, but after a few days of training, it's really easy to fly these machines, because as soon as you have a good flight plan, you're just watching, because the drone is doing everything autonomously. You don't have to control it, you don't have to worry about hitting a tree, because it will automatically avoid all these obstacles. So this is really a common question, and the answer, I guess, is really good, because it's a few days and then you're good to go.
So again, you also provide the training, you support in training, and you support, of course, in hard and software, right?
Yes, of course, because in 2 days or in 3 days, you can learn all the basics. But if you don't have these few days and you don't have the support, it is really, really difficult to understand on your own how it works. That is why we are trying to help with video tutorials, these forums where customers can talk to each other, and we can also help. So it's a really important barrier, but as soon as you start understanding how it works, it gets really easy, really fast.
And again, you don't need to be a techie to fly a drone, or do you have to have...
No, we have a lot of pilots worldwide who had no tech-related background at all. But you don't have to code, you don't have to do repairs and maintenance, you just have to understand a really simple application like on your phone and then start flying. I mean, of course there are really interesting parts of planning a good flight, but it's, I mean, if somebody has a smartphone, they can do that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So where do we find you stand? C23. Just give us a quick navigation on the other side of the stage. Yeah. Wonderful. This is your round of applause. Thank you so much, Karoly.
Thank you.
Thank you.